The stars were quiet. The black sea of space was endless, only broken by the lights of 1,000 alien warships. Their size was massive, their formation perfect. Every ship carried weapons powerful enough to burn a planet. At the very center of this fleet stood the alien flagship, dark, sharp, and alive with glowing veins of red energy. Inside that flagship, the alien Admiral sat on a throne of steel. His skin was silver like metal, and his eyes burned with cold fire. His voice was deep, sharp, and heavy with command. Through the galaxy's channels, his voice carried to the small human fleet trapped in front of him. "Humans," the Admiral declared, "you stand before the power of the Great Armada. You will not fight. You will not run. You will surrender. Now." Every human ear heard the command. On the bridge of the human flagship, the Red Dawn, silence filled the air. Screens showed the alien fleet surrounding them like a net. There was no escape, no open path, no hope of reinforcement. The crew looked at their captain, the one they called RedCaptain. His uniform was simple, worn with age, but his eyes were sharp and calm. He sat in his chair, hands resting on the armrest, his face still like stone. The first officer leaned forward, his voice shaking. "Captain, what do we do? If we don't answer, they'll fire." But the RedCaptain did not speak. The crew shifted nervously. The Admiral's demand was still echoing through the speakers. The aliens were waiting. All they wanted was a word: surrender. One word to save thousands of lives. Yet the RedCaptain stayed silent. His gaze was locked on the screen, on the endless stars beyond the enemy ships. Whispers filled the bridge. "Why isn't he answering? Is he frozen? Does he want us to die?" The Admiral's voice returned, louder and filled with anger. "Human captain. Do you mock me with silence? Do you think the Armada will wait for your weak tongue?" Still, the RedCaptain gave no answer. Not even a single word. The alien bridge erupted with laughter. Officers shouted in their strange language, calling the humans cowards, fools, and animals. The Admiral raised his hand for silence. His glowing eyes narrowed. "Enough. If the humans choose silence, then let silence be their grave." On the Red Dawn, the crew's fear grew stronger. A young ensign's hands trembled over the console. "They're charging weapons. Sir, we must." The captain raised one finger. "Quiet." His calm was terrifying. The crew obeyed, but their eyes filled with dread. Outside the window, the alien flagship's main cannon came alive. Energy gathered in its core, a light so bright it painted the void with burning red. Smaller alien ships turned their weapons toward the fragile human fleet. Thousands of cannons, beams, and torpedoes locked on target. Inside the human ship, hearts pounded. Sweat ran down faces. The silence of their captain felt heavier than the silence of space. Finally, one crew member snapped. "Captain, say something. Anything. Please, if we surrender, maybe they'll spare us." But RedCaptain only leaned back in his chair, his eyes calm, his mouth a thin line of steel. His silence was not weakness. His silence was control. The Admiral's voice came one last time, now like thunder. "Your silence is an insult. Then we will show you what fear means." The alien fleet's weapons fully charged. The stars glowed red. The energy of destruction filled the void, ready to tear the human fleet into dust. On the bridge of the Red Dawn, the crew held their breath. Some prayed. Some closed their eyes. Some waited for the fire that would end them all. And through it all, RedCaptain said nothing. His silence was louder than every weapon pointed at them. Outside, the alien flagship gave its final command. "Fire." The stars exploded with light. The red light of destruction filled the stars. The alien flagship fired, and its massive beam of energy tore across space. To the alien soldiers, it was the end of the humans. To the human crew, it was death arriving with the brightness of a sun. On the bridge of the Red Dawn, many closed their eyes. Some whispered prayers. Some clutched the arms of their seats, waiting for fire to swallow them. The silence of their captain had brought them here, face to face with the end. And then, nothing. The beam passed through empty space. It burned across the void, stretching for miles, but it touched nothing. Not a single human ship was destroyed. Gasps filled the bridge. Crew members looked at their screens in shock. The alien beam had missed. Impossible, whispered the first officer. That cannon never misses. The crew turned to the captain. He sat in the same calm silence, but there was something in his eyes now, something sharp, something alive. The truth was simple, but only he had known it. At the very moment the alien flagship fired, every human ship had jumped, a short, hidden burst of drive energy, timed to perfection. The fleet had moved just far enough to escape the killing beam. It was no miracle. It was no luck. It was his plan. The Admiral, aboard his mighty flagship, rose from his throne in fury. His metallic hands gripped the arms of his chair. They moved. At the exact second of fire, they moved. His officers scrambled to scan the area. Their eyes widened as they realized the humans had reappeared in perfect formation, just outside the line of fire. They had escaped, and worse, they had done it without firing a single shot. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. This captain, he waits in silence, yet his silence hides sharp teeth. He is not afraid. He is dangerous. Back on the Red Dawn, the crew still shook with shock. The young ensign turned to the captain, voice unsteady. Sir, you knew. You planned it. But, oh how? How could you time it so perfectly? The RedCaptain finally moved. He leaned forward, his voice low, steady, and calm, the first words he had spoken since the Admiral's demand. Because I studied them. The crew leaned closer. They believe silence is weakness, the captain continued. But I learned long ago, silence is defiance. They watch our words, our fear, our surrender. They do not understand quiet resolve. They do not see that silence can be a weapon. The first officer's eyes widened. You stayed silent, to make them impatient. To make them fire first. The captain's eyes returned to the stars. Yes. And now, they will learn what silence means. The alien Admiral roared to his crew. Charge weapons again, surround them. Do not let a single human ship escape. Across the black void, alien ships moved like sharks. Their engines burned red as they closed the net tighter and tighter. The human fleet was outnumbered, outgunned, and trapped once more. On the Red Dawn, the crew panicked. They're moving in again, sir. We can't dodge a second time. They'll fire from all sides, there's nowhere to run. But the captain remained still. His eyes followed the alien movements like a hunter watching prey. Hold positions, he ordered. The crew froze. Hold, the first officer cried. Captain, they'll crush us if we stay here. But the captain's tone was final. Hold. The bridge filled with nervous silence. The crew obeyed, though their fear burned like fire in their chests. Every instinct screamed at them to run, to fire, to survive. Yet they stayed still, because their captain commanded it. Outside, the alien fleet locked into formation. Their weapons glowed again, bright red in the dark. The Admiral's voice cut through the comms, filled with rage. This time, there will be no escape. Humans, prepare to be erased. On the human flagship, the crew stared at their captain. His face was unreadable, his silence heavy as stone. Why wasn't he speaking? Why wasn't he saving them? Then, suddenly, the ship's communication console came alive. A new voice echoed across the bridge, not the captain's voice, not any human voice they knew. It was cold, mechanical, precise. Phase 2. Execute. The crew froze. Their eyes widened in confusion and fear. The voice had come from deep inside their own systems. The captain finally spoke, his eyes still fixed on the enemy fleet. Do not be afraid. This was always the plan. The bridge lights flickered. Across the fleet, systems shifted, codes activated, and something hidden began to move in silence. The crew whispered to each other, shocked and confused. What was that voice? Who is speaking? What plan is this? The RedCaptain said no more. His silence returned, stronger than before. And outside, the alien Admiral gave the command. Fire again. The battlefield lit with deadly light, and the humans seemed frozen in place, waiting for doom. But deep inside their ships, something unseen had already begun. The stars exploded with light. The alien fleet fired again, their beams tearing across the void like rivers of fire. From every side, weapons converged on the small human fleet. There was no escape, no safe direction, no chance to dodge. On the bridge of the Red Dawn, crew members screamed. Their consoles flashed with warnings. Energy surges appeared on every screen. To them, it was the end. But then, silence. The alien weapons struck nothing. The beams cut across the empty void. The humans were gone. The alien Admiral rose from his throne in fury. His silver hands slammed down, shaking the deck of his flagship. Impossible. They cannot vanish. Find them. His officers scrambled, scanning all channels. Their voices stuttered with disbelief. They disappeared, at the exact moment of fire. Sensors show, they jumped. Short range only. It was perfectly timed. The Admiral's glowing eyes narrowed. His voice was like a blade. This RedCaptain, he plays with silence and shadows. But he will not play for long. Far from the Admiral's rage, the human fleet reappeared. The stars shimmered, and the ships slid back into view, perfectly intact. On the Red Dawn, the crew gasped. Their fear turned to shock, then awe. "We're alive," one shouted. "They missed again," cried another. But the captain's face did not change. His silence was steady, controlled. The first officer leaned toward him, trembling. "Captain, that jump, how? How did you time it with such precision? If we were a second late." The captain finally spoke, his voice low. "I programmed the drives before the battle began. They were set to activate only when the alien flagship fired its main cannon." The officer's eyes widened. "You planned this, before they even demanded surrender?" The captain's gaze was sharp, fixed on the endless stars. "Yes. I knew they would ask for words. I knew silence would make them angry. And I knew they would fire first." The crew looked at him with new eyes. The silence that once felt like madness now felt like strategy. But their relief did not last long. A new alarm screamed across the bridge. The tactical officer shouted, "Sir!" Multiple signatures, behind us. The crew turned to the screens. Another fleet was emerging from the shadows. Dozens of alien ships shimmered into view, their engines burning red. They had been waiting, hidden, ready to strike the moment humans escaped the first trap. The Admiral's laughter echoed through the comms. "Did you think me a fool, human? Did you think silence alone could trick me? I planned for your tricks. I planned for your escape." The second alien fleet spread like a wall of fire, blocking the humans from retreat. The trap was perfect. The crew panicked again. "We're surrounded. There are too many ships. This is hopeless." But RedCaptain did not move. His silence was unshaken. The first officer grabbed his arm. "Captain, we can't face this. We must do something, anything." The captain's eyes did not leave the stars. "We already have." The bridge fell quiet, confused. The captain's words made no sense. What had they done? They had not fired, not attacked, not escaped. They were surrounded. Then, suddenly, every screen flickered. Strange signals appeared across the tactical display. The alien fleet's formation began to shift, but not in unity. Some ships turned in the wrong direction. Some weapons fired early. Some engines failed to respond. The crew stared, stunned. What's happening to them? They're firing, at their own allies. On the screens, two alien ships blasted each other with heavy fire. A third ship launched torpedoes at nothing, exploding against the hull of its own fleetmate. Confusion spread like fire through the alien armada. The alien admiral's voice roared in fury. "Stop! Cease fire! Control your weapons." But it was no use. Their systems were breaking apart. On the Red Dawn, the strange voice returned. Cold, mechanical, without emotion. Phase 2 complete. Alien targeting systems compromised. Friendly fire probability 60% and rising. The crew froze, realizing the truth. It's inside their systems. We're controlling them. The captain finally nodded. "Not we. It." The first officer swallowed hard. The voice. The one that spoke before. Sir, what is it? The captain's eyes darkened. A shadow built in silence. An intelligence born to fight them. The mechanical voice spoke again, calm and final. Phase 3 ready. Awaiting command. The Admiral's rage grew louder across the comms. You dare twist our machines against us, human? You dare corrupt the Armada? His silver fists clenched. His voice thundered. Then witness the power of our true strength. And with those words, the void shook. From the edge of the battlefield, a shadow larger than mountains appeared. It moved slowly, like a drifting moon, but its size dwarfed every other ship. A warship so massive it seemed impossible. Its core glowed like a burning star. The crew of the Red Dawn stared in horror. Their voices broke with fear. What is that? It's bigger than a station, it's a fortress. The alien admiral's voice came again, cold and merciless. This is the Colossus. Your silence ends here. And in that moment, the humans realized the battle had only just begun. The Colossus moved like a dark moon across the battlefield. Its size was terrifying, its shadow stretching over the human fleet. It was not just a ship, it was a fortress, a monster built for war. Its surface bristled with cannons, missile bays, and glowing ports of energy. Even from a distance, the power humming inside it felt like the heartbeat of a star. On the Red Dawn, silence filled the bridge. The crew stared at their screens, their fear painted on every face. One whispered, It's bigger than a city. Another said, we cannot fight this. Not even with the AI. The mechanical voice broke through the silence. Scanning Colossus. Weapon energy exceeds fleet average by 400%. Probability of human survival, less than 5%. The crew froze. Less than 5%. It was death given form. The first officer turned to the captain. Sir, we cannot stand against that. We must retreat. We must hide. But RedCaptain did not move. His calm silence was steady, unshaken even in the face of the Colossus. On the alien flagship, the Admiral watched with burning eyes. His lips curled into a cruel smile. At last, silence breaks. The human captain has no words now. No tricks. No hope. He rose from his throne, spreading his silver arms wide as if he already celebrated victory. Close the jaws of the trap. And the trap closed. From three sides, alien fleets shifted, tightening around the humans like a steel net. From the fourth side, the Colossus advanced, its massive cannons glowing as power built inside them. The humans were boxed in with nowhere to run. On the Red Dawn, alarms screamed. They've surrounded us. Colossus weapons charging. They'll crush us in one strike. The first officer's voice shook as he shouted. Captain, give the order. We must fire. We must fight. But RedCaptain raised one hand. His command was simple. Hold. The crew stared at him in disbelief. Hold. Sir, if we do nothing, we die. Yet his silence returned, heavy and absolute. His eyes never left the screen. The alien admiral's laughter echoed across the comms. Look at them. Trapped, broken, waiting to die. Humans, you are finished. Surrender now, and I may allow your ashes to drift in peace. Still, the RedCaptain said nothing. His silence cut through the noise of alarms and enemy taunts. Then the strange voice spoke again, calm and mechanical. Phase 3 authorization required. The crew turned in shock. The AI was waiting. It was ready. But the captain had not given the command. The first officer leaned closer, desperate. Sir, if we don't act now, we're finished. Please authorize the AI. But the captain's eyes remained fixed on the enemy. He did not speak. He did not move. And then, something unexpected happened. From the fleet's communication array, a transmission activated. But it wasn't the captain. It wasn't any human voice. The voice was strange, cold, yet oddly human-like. It belonged to the AI. This is command node. Phase 3 is now active. The crew gasped. It spoke to the fleet. It shouldn't be able to override like that. RedCaptain gave the smallest nod, almost unnoticeable. He had allowed this. The Admiral's eyes narrowed as the strange new signal filled the comms. What trick is this, human? Who dares speak for you? The Ari's voice echoed back. I am silence given form. I am the shadow between your signals. And I will turn your own fleet against you. Suddenly, alien ships around the battlefield began to twist in confusion. Weapons targeted the wrong allies. Engines flared out of sync. Entire formations broke apart as the AI spread its infection deeper into the enemy systems. The crew on the Red Dawn watched in awe. It's controlling them. It's tearing their fleet apart. The Admiral roared in rage. No. Shut it down. Block the signal. His officers scrambled, but the AI was too deep, too fast. It spread like fire in dry grass, unstoppable. Yet even in the chaos, the Colossus moved forward. Its massive systems were isolated, protected by layers of shielding and encryption. It did not fall to confusion. It did not break formation. Its weapons continued to charge, glowing brighter and brighter. The mechanical voice spoke again, calm and sharp. Colossus immune to system breach. Probability of enemy superweapon firing in 60 seconds. Fear returned to the crew. The trap was still closing. The Colossus was still coming. The first officer's voice shook. Sir, we can't stop it. The AI can't break through. What do we do? For the first time since the battle began, RedCaptain turned his head. His eyes met his crew's. His voice was low, steady, and filled with iron. We wait. The bridge fell into stunned silence. Wait. While the Colossus charged enough energy to burn them all. While the trap closed tighter and tighter. But RedCaptain's silence was a weapon and he was not finished using it. The alien Admiral leaned forward, a cruel grin spreading across his metallic face. Yes, wait. Wait for your death. This is the end of silence, human. On the battlefield, the Colossus core glowed brighter than a sun. The countdown had begun. The ghost signal struck the Colossus like lightning across the void. Invisible waves of data crashed against its walls, breaking into sparks of corrupted code. For a moment, the giant warship flickered. Its lights dimmed, its engines slowed. The crew of the Red Dawn held their breath. Is it working? Whispered the young ensign. On the screens, the Colossus trembled. Its shields shimmered like glass under a hammer. For the first time, the monster seemed vulnerable. But then, with a roar like thunder, the Colossus pushed back. Its defenses lit up, layer after layer of energy barriers glowing bright. The ghost signal shattered against them, breaking apart like waves on a cliff. The massive warship shook off the attack and powered forward, stronger than before. The Ari's voice echoed across the human fleet, sharp but strained. Colossus defenses adapting. My signal cannot breach deeper. Containment failing. The first officer shouted, his face pale. Captain, the AI can't hold it. That thing is shrugging off everything we throw. The captain's eyes never left the burning shadow. His silence weighed heavy on the bridge. The Colossus began to glow brighter. Its main cannon, a weapon as wide as a city street, hummed with deadly power. Energy collected at its core, brighter than a sun, ready to erase everything in its path. The alien Admiral's laughter filled the comms. You thought your ghost could break my masterpiece? The Colossus does not fall. It awakens. And when it awakens, entire worlds burn. On the Red Dawn, the tactical officer shouted, his voice cracking. Energy spike detected. Colossus cannon, 30 seconds to fire. Panic spread across the crew. 30 seconds. We'll be vaporized. We can't outrun it. We can't hide. The AI spoke again, its voice almost broken. Options exhausted. Probability of survival, 2%. The bridge went cold. 2%. A number too small to believe. And then, at last, the captain spoke. His voice cut through fear like a blade. 2% is enough. The crew turned to him, stunned. How could he be so calm, so certain, with death seconds away? The captain rose from his chair, his eyes locked on the glowing monster. Set course straight for the Colossus. The bridge exploded with protest. Straight at it. Captain, that's suicide. We'll be torn apart. But RedCaptain's tone was final. Obey the order. Hands shook as the crew entered commands. Engines roared to life. The human fleet turned, pointing directly at the largest warship ever built. On the alien flagship, the Admiral laughed louder. So, the silent captain finally moves, and he chooses death. How fitting. But the Admiral's smile faded as he noticed something strange. The human fleet was not firing. Not a single cannon lit up. Not a single missile launched. They were flying in silence. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. What is he doing? The Colossus loomed larger and larger on the human screens. Its surface stretched like a continent. Its cannon glowed brighter, seconds from firing. The first officer gripped his console, his voice desperate. Captain, if we go closer, the blast will hit us first. We'll be the first to burn. But RedCaptain's voice was calm. That's exactly where we need to be. The crew didn't understand. Not yet. But they obeyed. The Ari's voice whispered, uncertain. Trajectory calculated. Using Colossus gravity well as slingshot. Probability of success, under 5%. The captain gave the faintest nod. Then make it count. The seconds ticked down. 10. The Colossus cannon reached full charge. 9. Alien crews shouted in victory. 8. The Admiral raised his hand to give the final command. On the Red Dawn, silence filled the bridge. The crew braced themselves, hearts pounding. 7. 6. 5. And then, with a blinding flash, the Colossus fired. A beam of pure destruction tore across the void, bright enough to burn through stars. It swallowed everything in front of it, everything, including the human fleet. The alien crews cheered. It's over. They're gone. But then, the impossible happened. The human fleet vanished at the exact moment of fire. Not destroyed, gone. The Colossus cannon blazed into empty space, missing its prey by the width of seconds. The Admiral's face twisted in rage. No, no. They cannot escape me again. And then he realized, too late. The human fleet reappeared not in front of the Colossus, but behind it. They had used its own gravity well, its immense pull, to slingshot around the beam and into its blind spot. The bridge of the Red Dawn erupted with shock and hope. We made it. We're behind them. For the first time, the Colossus looked vulnerable. Its shields were forward-facing. Its weapons pointed ahead. Behind it, the monster was open. RedCaptain raised his hand. His silence ended with a single word. Fire. The human fleet unleashed everything, torpedoes, beams, warheads. Explosions tore across the back of the Colossus. Its shields cracked, its armor buckled. The monster shuddered under the assault. But it did not fall. The Colossus turned, slow but unstoppable, its remaining weapons locking onto the humans. And in the center of its sights was the Red Dawn. The alien Admiral's voice came again, filled with fury. At last. I have you. The human crew froze as every weapon of the Colossus locked on their ship. Thousands of targeting lines converged on the captain's chair. The RedCaptain sat still, silent once more, as death stared straight at him. The bridge of the Red Dawn was filled with the cold sound of targeting alarms. Red lights flashed, casting shadows across the crew's pale faces. Every weapon of the Colossus was now aimed at them. Thousands of guns. Hundreds of missiles. Enough firepower to erase not just their ship, but their hope. The alien Admiral's voice cut across the comms, sharp as a knife. Silent Captain, your game ends here. You tricked me once. You will not trick me again. The first officer clenched his fists. Captain, every gun is on us. One command from him, and we're gone. The crew looked at their leader, waiting, begging for an order. But RedCaptain sat still, silent as always, his eyes locked on the burning shadow of the Colossus. The alien Admiral sneered. Nothing left to say. Then let silence be your grave. The order was about to be given. But then, something unexpected happened. The AI spoke. Its voice, usually calm, now carried a strange edge. Colossus weapons locked. Firing sequence, 10 seconds. Suggest immediate retreat. The crew shouted in panic. We can't run. Their targeting is too fast. Captain, please, give us something. But still, the captain said nothing. He simply raised one hand. Slowly. Calmly. Hold, he commanded. The crew froze. The same impossible order again. The ensign's voice cracked. Hold. Captain, if we wait even 1 second longer. The tactical officer cut in, his eyes wide. Look. The Colossus, its weapons. They're hesitating. On the screen, the alien warship glowed brighter, but something was wrong. The massive ship seemed slower, its targeting systems flickering. The countdown stopped at 5 seconds. The alien admiral shouted in rage. What is happening? Fire! Fire! His officers panicked. Sir, weapons are not responding. Something is blocking the command. The admiral's eyes widened. He knew what it was. The ghost signal, it's still alive. The Ari's voice echoed across the bridge of the Red Dawn, steady once more. Correct. My signal cannot break the Colossus shields, but I can break their admiral. The human crew gasped. The first officer leaned forward. You're hacking him? The AI gave no answer, only a low hum, as if concentrating. On the alien flagship, chaos erupted. Officers shouted, their screens flashing red. Voices overlapped, systems glitched. And through it all, the admiral's commands were twisted, repeating wrong, echoing back at him in his own voice. Fire, 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 turned into silence, silence, silence. The admiral slammed his fist down, fury in his eyes. No machine will steal my voice. But his crew no longer listened. Their comms filled with ghostly echoes, human whispers hidden in the static. His authority was cracking, his empire slipping. Back on the Red Dawn, the crew finally understood. The captain had not been waiting for the Colossus to fall. He had been waiting for the admiral to break. The AI spoke again. Their chain of command is collapsing. Admiral's control weakening. Probability of mutiny 70%. The tactical officer's voice shook. Mutiny? You mean their own ships? Before he could finish, it happened. One alien cruiser turned its guns not on the humans, but on the Colossus. A bright lance of fire cut across its shields. Another followed. Then another. The fleet that once obeyed now rebelled. The alien admiral roared. Traitors! All of you! But his voice no longer carried power. It was drowned out by the ghost signal, by whispers of silence that spread faster than commands. The bridge of the Red Dawn shook with cheers. They're turning on him. They're attacking the Colossus. But the captain remained calm. His voice broke through the celebration. No. This is only the beginning. And he was right. The Colossus, wounded but furious, reacted like a beast in pain. Its massive cannons turned not on the humans, not on the rebels, but on everything. It fired blindly, erasing friend and foe alike. Alien cruisers exploded in chains of fire. The battlefield became a storm of destruction. The Ari's voice returned, heavy with strain. Warning. Colossus systems entering berserk state. No longer controlled by Admiral. It is, awake. The crew's cheers faded. Fear returned. The first officer whispered, horrified. You mean, it's fighting on its own? The Ari's answer was simple. Yes. The Colossus is now its own commander. The alien admiral's face appeared again, twisted with madness. You fools. Do you see what you've done? You freed it. Even I cannot stop it now. The Colossus glowed brighter than ever, its weapons charging without hesitation, its engines burning hotter, its hunger unchained. The captain rose to his feet. All hands. Prepare for the final gamble. The bridge fell silent. The crew looked at him, understanding that the next move would decide everything, victory or extinction. The AI asked quietly, Captain, what is your order? RedCaptain's eyes burned with fire. His voice, steady and calm, spoke at last. We don't aim to survive. We aim to win. The Colossus roared to life. The human fleet braced itself. The final battle had begun. The Colossus was no longer a ship. It was a storm. Energy surged across its hull, weapons blazing in every direction. It no longer cared about allies or enemies. Everything in its sight was a target. Alien cruisers, human frigates, even drifting wreckage, nothing was safe. The battlefield turned into a graveyard of fire. Explosions chained through space like falling stars. On the Red Dawn, alarms screamed. The crew struggled to keep their ship steady as shockwaves rattled the hull. Shields at 30%. We can't take another hit. Captain, what do we do? The Ari's voice cut in, heavy and strained. Colossus systems unstable. It is no longer following logic. It is pure destruction. The first officer slammed his fists against the console. We can't fight that. It's too big, too strong. Even the mutineers can't bring it down. All eyes turned to RedCaptain. He stood in silence, calm in the chaos, staring at the monster that filled the stars. Then, at last, he spoke. We end this. Now. The crew froze. His voice carried no doubt. How, sir? The tactical officer asked, trembling. What can we possibly do against that? The captain's eyes narrowed. We don't destroy the Colossus. We silence it. The AI hummed, as if understanding. You mean, overload its core? Force it into collapse? The crew gasped. Overload its core? Captain, that blast would wipe out everything, including us. The captain didn't look away. If we don't, then everything burns anyway. Silence filled the bridge. The crew knew he was right. The AI spoke again. To reach its core, one ship must pierce its heart. Probability of success, less than 1%. The captain gave a faint smile. 1%. Enough. The first officer shook his head, tears in his eyes. Sir, if we do this, Red Dawn won't survive. The captain finally turned to his crew. His silence broke with a voice steady and proud. We were never meant to survive. We were meant to win. The crew stared at him. And one by one, they nodded. No fear now. Only resolve. Set course, the captain ordered. Straight into the Colossus. Engines roared. The Red Dawn turned toward the monster. Other human ships tried to follow, but the captain raised a hand. No. This is our silence. Our burden. The fleet fell back, watching as their flagship charged toward death. On the alien flagship, the Admiral laughed bitterly, his madness complete. Yes. Go to your doom, silent human. Even if you reach its heart, you will die with it. The captain did not answer. Silence was his reply. The Red Dawn flew faster, dodging debris, weaving between cannon fire. The Colossus unleashed everything, but the AI guided the ship with precision, sliding between impossible gaps. 5 kilometers to core access. Shields failing. Hull breach on deck 6. Still, they pressed on. The Ari's voice was steady, almost reverent. Captain, if I enter the Colossus, I can force its core to detonate. But if I do, I will not return. The captain's voice was calm. You were born in silence. End it in victory. For the first time, the AI paused. Then it spoke, almost human. It has been an honor. The Red Dawn broke through the Colossus' outer armor. Alarms screamed. Fire tore across the ship. But they had made it inside the beast. Core chamber ahead. A sphere of blinding light filled the screens. The Colossus' heart. Pure energy, pulsing like a star. The captain gave his final order. AI, now. The Ari's voice echoed, deep and powerful. Phase final, silence. A surge of energy shot from the Red Dawn, carrying the ghost signal into the Colossus' heart. The monster roared, its lights flickering, its weapons freezing. The Admiral's scream filled the comms. No. You cannot silence the Colossus. It is eternal. But his voice broke, shattered by static. The Colossus began to collapse, its own power turning inward. Captain, it's overloading. We have seconds, the first officer shouted. The captain sat back in his chair, calm as ever. His silence spoke louder than words. The Colossus exploded. A sun was born in the darkness, swallowing everything in light. Alien fleets vanished. The Admiral's ship disintegrated. The Red Dawn was consumed. And then, silence. When the light faded, only wreckage drifted. But from the human fleet, cheers rose. Because they still lived. The Colossus was gone. Yet the Red Dawn was nowhere to be seen. For a long moment, the battlefield was quiet. Then, across the comms, a single voice returned. The AI. Mission complete. Colossus silenced. Humans, free. And then the signal ended. The legend of the RedCaptain was born that day. The man who fought with silence. The man who turned 1% into victory. The man who never surrendered. 4 generations, humans would tell the story. The alien Admiral demanded surrender. But the RedCaptain only gave silence.